everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gitte Marie. Yes, Marie. Not Mary. I'm trying to phase in my own actual name rather than the username I've used online for more than a decade. It's a tough process. I'll just keep explaining it for a few more videos and then hopefully we're gonna be on the same page. Anyway, my name is actually Gitte Marie and I am very happy to share this video with you guys today because I've made a lot of videos during the last year about ways in which my early zero waste mentality and mindset, or the actions that I focused on when I started zero waste, might not really be as effective as I thought they were gonna be, or I made my life miserable for absolutely no reason. This is not to say that reducing your impact, reducing your waste is a bad idea. It's something you shouldn't do. It's absolutely something you should do. I think the best way to combat eco-anxiety, hopelessness, any sort of dread related to climate change is through action, is through participating in communities, it's through getting involved and doing something yourself. So I always encourage sustainable action from the consumer, but I also encourage sustainable action from the political sector and industries specifically. So with that out of the way, I want to talk about 5 instances where my zero waste mindset, my early zero waste mindset, just didn't make sense. And we can laugh at this, but this is also so that you don't make the same mistakes I do. Before we get started, this video is sponsored. This works so well with the dangly earrings, by the way. This video is sponsored by Ruby Cup. Ruby Cup and I, we're like this. Ruby makes reusable menstrual products, namely menstrual cups and absorbent underwear, and I have used their silicone cup for years, and I've shown you guys my black menstrual cup literally a million times, and that's from Ruby. But recently I also started incorporating period underwear. So convenient. Lifesaver. Ruby has truly done an amazing job at creating reusable products that are better for you and for the planet, and they also give back. They have donated more than 142,000 reusable cups, fighting global period poverty since 2011. My own road to using reusable products like this has been rocky, to say the least, but I'll get back to that in the video. Thank you so much to Ruby for sponsoring this video. You can find all the information down below as well as a discount code. Now let's get into it. My first entry is kind of beauty related, and it's something I was recently called out on, and I wasn't mentally ready for that. Confession time. I very rarely remove my makeup with products. I often use cold water. I use like my normal hand soap if things are really crazy, and then I remove my makeup in the shower, and then I sometimes apply SPF, but I am not a skincare girly by any means necessary. And recently I realized that when I started zero waste, the reason why I don't remove my makeup, or the reason why I specifically in the beginning refused to remove my makeup, was because if I removed it after just one day of use, it went to waste. Someone help this poor girl. I think this is something that sort of evolved in my mind when I learned about resource use and resource waste, and how many resources that actually go into making cosmetics. So taking them off after just one day, watching them go down the drain, seemed really wasteful. And my way of sort of combating that was by simply not washing it off. And that doesn't really make sense, because I applied new makeup the next day, because the makeup sort of just falls off a little bit in and of itself. You just have to remove the bit that sort of gets in your skin, and that's really good because then you have clearer skin and you clog up your skin if you keep piling more stuff onto it. That's not very nice. It's not a very nice feeling either. So you use the amount of makeup you would have anyways. I'm still not perfect at this, and I actually still don't have like a cleanser to take my makeup off with. I use soap and water. I know it's not ideal. So my first experience with the menstrual cup actually traumatized me, and I did make a video about it when it was happening back in 2015. So that video was filmed on a potato. I'm so sorry you had to witness that. You probably haven't seen it, but let's recap that for a second, because I was so traumatized by the experience I had with the menstrual cup that I didn't use it for months and months and months after this experience, and it made me unable to actually enjoy and learn about this product. So the thing is, when I started zero waste, it was because I learned that every piece of plastic still exists on this planet. Plastic is a fossil material. It doesn't just go away, it becomes smaller bits of plastic. So even when we burn it, it has a waste product. It doesn't go away. And I started looking completely differently at everything in my apartment, including my period products because I just wanted to eliminate plastic from every crevice of my home. So I got a menstrual cup. So I had sort of a, well, I don't matter because the planet is burning. So whatever discomfort I might have about certain things doesn't matter because the planet is more important than my comfort, which to some extent is a fine mentality to have. It's just that it is so easy to overdo it. It is so easy to overdo it and to completely disregard yourself, which in the long run means that you won't be able to maintain these habits long term because you'll burn out or become demotivated because of the discomfort. So I hadn't used tampons really. I think I might have used like 1 or 2 tampons in my life, but it's never been a product that I've gravitated towards. I'll always use pads. So my first experience with any kind of internal product was the menstrual cup. I shoved it up in there and then I just expected it to work. And one of the things that I've specified so many times when talking about the menstrual cup is the fact that take your time. Learn it, like become comfortable with it. And especially if you haven't used internal products before, take your sweet time. One of the things that I do now when I use the menstrual cup is that I usually like run it under a lukewarm tap, just so there's a little bit of moisture there. It helps, especially if you don't have like a really heavy flow, that can serve as a lubricant as well. But just a dry silicone cup, no moisture. And I sort of tried to disregard discomfort, but it just meant that my entire association with the period cup was that now it's about to be uncomfortable. So that meant that I kind of stopped using it. It's so important that you feel comfortable because otherwise you're just not gonna use it. So I got the menstrual cup, I tried it, I thought, this is not for me. I am a bad environmentalist, I'm a bad zero waster, I am a bad person because I couldn't figure out how to do this without being in pain or in discomfort. So I stopped using it. I felt horrible about not using it. I went back to using disposable products without taking the time to consider that maybe this is a practice issue. Perhaps this is something that takes a little bit more time, which it does, and that's okay. So 2 things here. Whenever it comes to using these types of products, take your time. You don't have to embody all positive change, all sustainable habits at once. No one is expecting this of you. You shouldn't be expecting this of you. And secondly, if there's something that just doesn't feel right, don't feel bad about it. Take your time, go back, learn more about it, like do slow, small steps, it's fine. But if there's something you can't do for whatever reason, like you have to exist here too, babe. It's just so important, otherwise you're gonna burn out. I'm so happy to have a different perspective now, but I was traumatized because I didn't really know how to use it right. Today's a different story. Yeehaw. So I know for a fact that I've talked about this many times on my channel. I'm gonna keep talking about it. I don't care if you've heard it before. When I started zero waste, I still ate meat, cheese, dairy, all that stuff. I just tried to do it without the plastic package. So I went to a cheese shop, I went to a deli section, the butchers, all that stuff with my own jar, and I got my animal products in my jar, and then I had sustainable meat, sustainable cheese, zero waste meat. It was very nice. And this gave me a lot of trouble as well because so many places didn't really accept my container, so I had to argue with the people working there. It was a whole thing, but I was way more focused on how my food was packaged rather than what my food actually is and what the production impact of my food actually is. And I think that's one of the things that comes from being very focused on the waste, the trash jar, is the hyper focus on the small pieces of packaging. And the packaging is important, and we definitely need more legislation when it comes to plastic packaging and how plastic is used. Plastic is a really smart material, we're just using it in really dumb ways. When looking at food and the average impact of food, it's less than 5% of the overall impact that comes from the packaging. The vast majority of the impact comes from what the product is, the resources going into the ingredients of the product, and the land use that product requires to grow. But I didn't really think about that. I primarily focused on keeping my little waste jar empty. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of the zero waste influencers I followed back then were not plant-based, not vegetarian, not really talking about the food that they ate, just how they got it package free. This is obviously not to blame anyone else for the fact that I was a little late to the party in terms of production impact on land use. It's just to say there has been, in the zero waste movement, a widespread or possibly even inherent unavailability of this knowledge. However, I would say that if you're in your very early stages of transitioning into a more sustainable lifestyle, starting out with the physical trash can be a really good stepping stone. You just at some point like need to move on from that, I feel like. But I was very appreciative of the fact that that's where I started out, and then I started to learn more, and then I readjusted. You don't have to, once again, embody all parts of sustainability all the time and at once. That is not the expectation here. This is once again a product of me hyper-focusing on one specific thing and refusing to learn the nuance. When I started Zero Waste, the worst possible thing that you could hand me was a disposable, single-use plastic item. How dare you? Not in my neighborhood. My day would be ruined if I got a plastic straw, like plastic cutlery, and I was served something on a plastic plate. Day ruined. But when it came to single-use glass or single-use paper, cardboard, bamboo, any other kind of single-use purpose product in any other material, super duper fine. The thing is just when you look at the actual impact of different materials, some are significantly worse than plastic. At least when looking at certain parameters like emissions from production. The sheer impact it has to make glass is massive. Glass is also made from natural materials which we extract from nature. I have a whole very early impact video about glass. I think it was one of the first impact videos that I did, but it's just so incredibly significant to look at single use overall and not just demonize one material, because single use glass is definitely also not okay, especially so if you're using glass in areas where you don't have glass recycling, so you just throw glass away after one use, specifically like for food storage, etc. You buy something from the grocery store in a glass jar and you throw the glass jar away. That impact significantly higher than plastic. And yes, then you have microplastic and fossil fuels, etc. when it comes to plastic, which are all bad. But single-use anything is kind of a bad idea. Single-use anything exhibits this linear way of understanding our materials, when in fact we need to think circular. So that goes for all types of materials and not just plastic. And focusing only on plastic, once again, good start, bad place to stop. And the last one is just me exhibiting an absolute lack of understanding of... I'm gonna finish my sentence there. When I started Zero Waste, I had my trash jar and it was incredibly important to me to be completely plastic free. I needed that hashtag in my Instagram bio to mean something. When I say I was plastic free, I was plastic free. So whenever I had my friends from uni over for parties, dinner, etc., we always bring our own drinks, our own beer, wine, etc. when we come to each other's houses. And many of my friends brought their beverages in plastic bags, and I could spend literally an entire evening focusing on the fact that they needed to take that bag with them when they left because there wasn't room in my trash jar for their beer bag. It absolutely doesn't matter what bin the plastic bag ended up in. And looking at this from a different perspective, today I would probably have asked them if they're going to use it again, because then they can take it with them. But if they're not going to use it again, or if they just leave it at my place, I don't even think I would ask them about it. If they left a plastic bag at my place today, I would just reuse it. It doesn't matter on what address the plastic bag is, but when it's on my address, I actually have agency of what happens to it, and I could reuse it for several purposes. Like, that's really nice. I could ship things in it, use it as a bin, all kinds of stuff with it. It's absolutely mental to use so much energy thinking about these small things. Like, it's impossible to enjoy your life when you're thinking about these small things. And actually letting go of all these small things and all of these insecurities and like thoughts about whether or not I'm good enough or expectations to be perfect, letting go of all that has made me a better environmentalist. Abso-fucking-lutely. But let me know in the comments down below if you have similar experiences, if you can relate to any of these things, or if you have other experience where you just realize much later that this was a wild use of mental resources. Like, this was a wild way of thinking, making life like unnecessarily hard for yourself. We all make mistakes. It's absolutely human to do so, and especially when sort of dabbling in alternative lifestyles. So there's absolutely no shame in the process. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day, and remember to subscribe to this channel. That would make my day just... Also, a big thank you to Rubicon for sponsoring this video. Now I will see you guys next time. Take really good care of yourselves. Until then, bye.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green zero waste content and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!